Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew with your girl Germaine. And yes, we are back for a Monday morning after coming off this weekend. I hope everybody had a great weekend and I hope you have time to stop by for a quick coffee break today. I won't keep you long. I won't. I know people have to go back to work or, people are just kind of stopping by in the midst of their busy day, and I do appreciate it. So, hope you have a chance to stop by and just, even if it's not coffee, it could be tea, juice, look, your smoothie, water, whatever you're drinking. Just because I call it Morning Brew with Germaine doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a coffee drinker, even though there are a lot of coffee drinkers out in the universe. So, but hey, just stop by for conversation. If nothing else, be a part of the community, join in the conversation, and let's talk today's brew. Today's brew is going to be all about collaboration over competition. Yes, collaboration over competition. If you are chiming in, just chime in to the community if you have a minute and just say hello. Say hello and let me know if you are in the process of drinking something right now, if you're just stopping by for conversation. Either way, I love to get your feedback and love to know that you're there and you're joining me. So, my coffee just stopped brewing. Give me a second. Let me grab that. Actually, I'm doing cappuccino today. I've got hooked on this hazelnut cappuccino and yeah, it's been pretty good. But yeah, I'm gonna have to switch it up some mornings. Some mornings I may just have my water, even though I have my water bottle right next to me. Or some mornings I start out with a smoothie, maybe early in the morning when I get up. And so it's pretty late, even though it's pretty late when I have my coffee at 10:30 in the morning. But you know what? It's a choice that I made. So I'm gonna stick with it. All right. All right, guys. All right, so let me just kind of stir this up and hey, let's talk about collaboration over competition while I'm mixing this up. Okay. You know, you know that we can go a lot further when we go together, right? But sometimes people like being lone rangers and doing it all on their own, going out on their own. That's okay too. But at some point in your life, in your busy day, you come to find out collaboration is healthy, is good, and you can get a lot more done when it's a collective, you know, assertive effort. So, with that, let's kind of dive a little bit into this, and you let me know which one you prefer, collaboration, or do you prefer to just be competitive, competing against someone for that spot, whatever it may be? So we'll talk a little more about it as we get further into it. And so, we live in a world that often pits people against each other. We see it every day. Every day. And sometimes it's healthy, but sometimes it's not healthy, right? So it's easy to slip into a comparison or and a competition. And most times, be careful because you can slip easily into the comparison portion of this. And the reason I say that is because sometimes as I'm talking to people, I may hear in their conversation, if you're paying attention when people are talking to you, I may hear in their competition in their conversation, they're always comparing themselves to what someone else has done, what someone is doing. That's not healthy because you could lose sight on you and who you are and what is the very thing you're supposed to be focused on, right? By keeping your eyes on someone else. But let's get into a little more. You know, but scarcity is a myth and it's one that keeps us small. So be careful. Be careful. Collaboration is the antidote, not the competition, the collaboration. You'll get a lot further. So, it invites growth, collaboration. It will invite growth, trust, and abundance. When you think about it, just think about it. Think about those times when you felt like you were in a competition with someone, or even if it was just secretly you being in competition with someone and they never even knew it. Or if you were someone you found that there was more that came out of you collectively working together with others. Think about your own situation, right? And so, good morning, Leslie, over on YouTube, and good morning, Raymond's 60. Good to have you join Instagram. And Morning Brew with Germaine. Just take a few minutes. I won't keep y'all long today, but oh, let me get a sip of my cappuccino since I've mixed it together. That is super hot. So, all right, so let me get back into this. Collaboration over competition is today's brew. So, when we join forces, we create space for innovation and impact beyond what any one of us could achieve alone. Think about that. When we join forces, I am a firm believer in partnerships. I'm a firm believer in bringing together people's gifts and being able to effectively make it all work together, right? So think about our body. There's several parts to our body, right? And the body can't function without another part of the body. Depending on that part, sometimes people have to get things amputated, because it's no longer functioning for them when it comes to the body. But there's still that sensation or just that sense in knowing that something is missing. So if you look at collaboration as being a body, and I'm bringing my part of the body to connect with your part of the body, and when we put those pieces together, then we realize that, oh, we can function a lot stronger, right? So just think about community as a whole. What are your things? What part of the body are you bringing to what part of the body are you looking to join together to create a whole body? So, think about collaboration like that as a body, and you have a piece or a part that fits that body. Okay. And so when you think about competition, competition is more of an isolated type of situation. You're isolated, but a lot of times people are secretly competing against those that's right in their circle. And the people in their circle may never even know. Now, like I said, competition can be healthy, but sometimes it can be detrimental. But let me get into this segment. This is our pour into purpose segment when we really start breaking down the brew of the day. And I give you just some things to think about, right? So, in pour into purpose, there's room for all of us. There is. Even though in this world that we live in, people think there should only be one way of doing things. But you know what? There's room for all of us that make up this entire body. Okay. That makes up this entire United States of America, that makes up this entire global universe. There is all different pieces that fit into the puzzle. And so, there's room for all of us. Keep that in mind. All right. And one thing people will realize when you try to eliminate pieces of the puzzle that you believe don't fit the puzzle or shouldn't be a part of the puzzle, all you're doing is hurting yourself. And I guess some people are willing to sacrifice that to hurt themselves for their own personal reasons, right? But let's talk a little more about this. Purpose isn't a race, it's a journey. So, purpose isn't a race, it's a journey. On that journey, what are you picking up along the way? So there is a difference between a race. A race, this is the end goal. I'm running because I see that goal right in front of me. So boom, I'm going to get there really quickly. I want to get there the fastest, right? But on the journey is when you pick up all those things that you need along the way that's going to help you in this thing called life. And so your lane is yours, but the road is wide. So that means other people can travel on that wide road with you, but your lane, what is destined and purpose for you is for you. That's why I say it's not, do not focus on what everybody else is doing. Don't focus on what everybody else is doing, because you will lose sight of the lane that you have been strategically placed in for that purpose when you have your eyes on somebody else's lane and what somebody else is doing and what they are accomplishing. You are purpose for a reason in this life. You have a purpose. Your DNA is like no one else's. That makes you unique, right? Your gift, your purpose is designed for you, and no one else can do it like you've been purposed to do it. So it is so important when you are on this journey of life, knowing and clearly understanding I'm in my lane. And because I have a specific purpose that I am supposed to fulfill while I'm here. So I can't look at my brother or my sister and be like, I want what you have. I want it, and why do you have it and I don't have it? Don't waste your time and energy on that, because you will miss out on why you are who you are and why you're purposed to be who you are on this earth. So, every gift has a space in the collective vision. Every gift. Now, what we should focus on is really focusing on what is my gift, or what is my purpose, right? Because they have to focus on their purpose, whoever you have your eyes on. If you're someone that keeps your eyes on, well, why is it happening for them, but it's not happening for me? And what is it that, keep this in mind. Every gift has a space in the collective vision. You just have to discover what yours is and to know how to effectively fit into the puzzle, you know, or be a part of a collaboration, to know what your pieces that you're bringing to it, right? Don't focus on competing with someone who's already in their space. They're already operating in the piece that's been assigned to them. Don't waste your energy and time focusing on them, because you're definitely going to miss out on what's for you and who you're supposed to be assigned to in the bigger picture of things, right? So let's pour a little more into purpose. Celebrating others doesn't shrink your shine. How many people out there feel like, I was just watching something um on YouTube on an actress, Paige Heard, right, who played in the Power series, who was also DMX's goddaughter, who you probably know her from Everybody Hates Chris. And there was something that she had said. She talked about how through her life, she felt like she had to shrink herself in order for others to shine. So at one point, she said even in high school, she would dress in clothing that wasn't appealing, that she felt didn't make her feel beautiful, or she felt like she had to be what she knew she wasn't. So, but the thing is, that's where you can lose yourself, because of focusing on others and what others think of you, how they feel about you, or not being comfortable. Whereas if you're in a space because you feel like people give you that heat, or they make it known how they feel when you're in their space, you feel like you have to become less than. Don't rob yourself of the gift God has placed in you, God has given you. The thing is, they're uncomfortable. That's an issue they have to deal with. Don't make yourself feel smaller in order to make them feel bigger, because at the end of the day, they're still not going to feel bigger, because they're challenging their own belief of who they are. So let them work on figuring it out, but you be the best version of who you are. Be the best version of you. God gifted you for a purpose, for a cause, for a reason. Don't let anybody ever steal your shine, and don't ever feel like you have to make yourself smaller in order to make them feel better about who they are. Allow them to go through the process they have to go through in order to be able to figure out their life's journey, right? And their purpose and their gift. So, I hope that helped someone. Well, Diana Knox Cooper, welcome to the conversation. What you say? You talking to me? Listen, I think we may have all been there at some point in our life. And if you haven't, then you know what? Maybe you can help others along this journey not to get in that space, right? Or what it took for you to stay above allowing people to make you feel like you have to shrink yourself in order to make them feel bigger, pretty much in their space. So, all right, let's continue on as we pour more into purpose. Honor opens doors for them and for you. Honor opens doors for them and for you. It's okay to celebrate others for their wins, because when it's your time and when you're winning, guess what? You're going to want somebody to celebrate you, and people will. But then you can't stop people from being haters either, because they're not happy with in the position they may be in. Whatever it is, that's not your concern. No, don't make their issues your concern. Stay focused. Stay focused on who you are, on your journey, on what your purpose to do, and where you're going, because you never know along that journey who needs to receive from you, who's watching you, who's taking something away from you that's going to help equip them for their journey and where they're going. And it's so interesting, because I find that, and sometimes people will never let you know how you've affected their walk in life, their journey in life, how you've inspired them. Sometimes you'll never know. But then there are some people that will let you know, and it could be years later, to the point whereas you've been just living life on your journey, that you don't even know when that encounter pretty much took place, that somebody was affected by, in a positive way, by your journey, by your gifts, by your walk. Sometimes you'll never know, but then somebody will remind you. Yeah. And the thing is, and I can only speak for myself, is that wow, I I'm thankful. Sometimes you don't even know how to respond, but thank you. I'm so glad that something that in my life could have was an inspiration for you in your life, on your journey. Sometimes you don't even know how to respond, and that's okay. Because when you're focused on what you're supposed to do, I guess it should cause an effect and a change. Um, and others can take away from that. So, but yeah, I was also thinking, I was just watching over this weekend, I was watching the Allen Iverson documentary, and it was doing one of the this was years ago. Allen Iverson played in the NBA in the early 2000s, latter 90s, early 2000s, and they were in one of the playoffs, and they were playing, Allen Iverson, Philadelphia was playing against Toronto and Vince Carter. And Vince Carter, they lost in the first game. And I'm just recapping what I saw. There's a lesson in this. So um they lost, Philadelphia lost the first game. Vince Carter scored like 40 points. And then the next day, Allen Iverson came back and dropped like 54, 58 points. And you know what Vince Carter said? He didn't get mad. He didn't get mad at all. He celebrated that win for them, and he looked at it, he makes me better. He challenges me to be better. And this is all competition. This is in a game. They're all trying to win the NBA championship. And so at the end of the day, that's healthy. That is healthy competition, right? When you can learn from the person you're competing against, and you realize it, and then you speak it out, that you know what, they're making me better. It's good to acknowledge and celebrate those, but it's also really good to acknowledge the areas that you're coming up in. And so I took that and I said, competition isn't all bad. Competition is healthy. It could be healthy. It could be healthy that it makes you better. So it's all in how you look at it, right? And so another thing, what you applaud in others, you attract to yourself. The laws of attraction. Don't be mad when somebody's winning and you feel like, what about me? But what about me? I do all this, and what about me? You know what? Sometimes take the focus off of me, and just as you're living and as you are authentically and genuinely celebrating the wins of others, watch how you start getting your wins. Watch how your wins start appearing for you. Now you got to stay focused on you then from the standpoint, because wins can come in all sizes, small, medium, large. Wins can come in all sizes. But if you're not focused because you're still so absorbed with what about me, you're going to miss the small wins that turn into medium wins, that turn into big wins. Pay attention. Pay attention to your walk. Pay attention on your life's journey. As you are celebrating others, learn from them in their competition. Learn from them to help catapult you to your next. Okay? So let's pour a little more into purpose. The harvest is bigger than your hands alone. The harvest is bigger than your hands alone. Don't stay isolated. Spread out. Take your piece and connect it to somebody else's piece. Big visions require shared effect, shared effort, right? Big visions, big visions. That means you cannot do it alone. You know, when I think about it, and you know what, I was speaking with one of my spiritual advisors the other day, and I was telling him how Morning Brew with Germaine has been such a inspiration for me, myself. And it's been such a blessing for me, these messages. And it caused me to take a pause and take a moment to see even my own accomplishments and my own wins, right? Because yes, I too, I get caught up in life. I get caught up in the busyness. I get caught up in all that, that I forget life is happening and things are progressing on my behalf. So when I had a moment to just pause, to just take a moment to really reflect back and think. And as I was talking to him, I was just telling him that even with a lot of the morning brews, the topics, the brew topics, how I find myself once again incorporating my story and sharing my story within them, but it's allowing me to really reflect on it. And the one that we had last week, the one I talked about when I talked about manifesting ideas, and when I realized that even having that epiphany, that moment on Morning Brew Live, I realized that, wow, I'm sitting in a manifested idea right now. Right now, I'm sitting in a manifested idea, for the publishing, HOV Publishing Company, for HOV Media, you know, that brings Morning Brew with Germaine. These are all ideas that have manifested, but I have to be honest with you. They may have started with me, but I cannot grow them by myself. So I look for pieces that I can join together with, right? That I can partner with. Whereas as I'm living out my vision and my purpose, the piece that I'm connecting with, they're living out their vision and their purpose as well. And the pieces just fit. So I thank God. I am very thankful. And I'm going to forever say how thankful I am that for those, even those that are watching today, that are chiming in today, how our puzzle pieces fit together. Leslie, Diana, how our puzzle pieces, how they fit together, and how we were able to just birth something so beautiful. Your stories, right? Your stories, and being a part of your journey and allowing the world to take part in it as well. So, but even the inspiration that I get from you all, you know, it motivates me. It inspires me to keep moving forward, to keep doing what I'm doing. And and even as you share the things you take away from me is such an encouragement, because I know I can't do life by myself. Who wants to do life all by themselves, isolated on an island with no one they can connect to, with no one they can share with? with no one they can grow and develop with. Who wants that? But you know what? There are people out there that love being isolated, that want to be off the grid, that rather be solo, alone. But life is so much more, and it's so much more we can accomplish when we collaborate together, when we come together. It's amazing to see visions grow, to see purpose be developed and purpose be explored and discovered. It's a beautiful thing. So, thank you all for stopping by and having coffee with me, because you know what? You all are sitting in a manifested idea with me as we enjoy conversation, as we enjoy our beverages. So thank you for that. I thank you. And as the community continues to grow, you know, we let it grow organically. So, all right, guys. So, big vision requires shared effort and teamwork scales impact. Yeah. I tell you, it's a lot of burnout when you're doing it all on your own. Not a comfortable place to be in. Teamwork, as they say, makes the dream work. Everybody bringing their expertise, everybody bringing their piece to the puzzle, to the party, to whatever that project is. It makes it so much lighter. It doesn't feel so heavy when you're trying to figure it all out, trying to make it all happen on your own. Feels a lot lighter. Yes. So, and that's the beauty in what I love about my assignment. Hope of Vision. Hope of Vision is just that, giving hope to one's vision. Just that, giving hope to one's vision and being able to help them see how big their vision is. Being able to encourage people to know you can do all things. Being able to be a part of one's journey, to be able to tap into the things that they're doing. I want to share this story as we just kind of wrap up Morning Brew today. The last part, collaboration brings capacity and creativity. So this weekend I was a part of a book launch event for one of my authors, who is she's a councilwoman in the city of Bridgeport. She's an educator, she's a pastor, she's a civil rights activist. And I talked about her before, and I'm just going to pull her book. But her book is Bloody Sunday, at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. So she did this book, and then I was introduced to her by someone, Shaquita Stevenson, who's no longer with us, who was a mover and a shaker. I tell you, I mean, all through government, all through community. She just had a heart for people, and she was a great connector to bring people together. And I know she's smiling down right now, from heaven, just knowing that one of the things she did before she passed away is she connected us together. And so at this event on Saturday, her book launch, I actually emceed the event. And Councilwoman Mary Lee McBride has a way of bringing community together. I mean, from the mayor of the town, and these are people she just has favor with. She just asks, they show up for her. So she had the mayor at her event. She had the superintendent of schools at her event. She did invite the senator, um, Blumenthal, Richard Blumenthal, who actually agreed to be there, but he wasn't able to show up because his event was running late. But he did show up next day in her church service, And then she had a community of people, pastors, leaders, other congressmen. I just said, oh my gosh, who is this woman in the power that she wills, that all she has to do is speak a word and people show up? Well, we were there for the release of her new book that HOV Publishing did. And it was because she's an educator. I made a suggestion to her while we were on a platform at a different event. And I said, have you ever thought about turning your story, Bloody Sunday, at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, that she shares and documents her story, being a part of that with the late John Lewis, and being able to sit in, Brown's Chapel with Martin Luther King. And so she talks about her journey in the power of that. And that's what gave her fire for voter rights registration and to be a civil rights activist. And so I asked her a question. Have you ever thought about turning your book into a children's book? Because she's been an educator, first grade educator for over 35 plus years. So she is seeing kids at that first point in their life when they're entering school, and she's effectively pouring into them. And so what we did, we decided to take excerpts or inspired from her first book, we decided to do her second book, The Mary McBride Lee Story, A Child's View from the Foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And we did it as a children's book in order for her to be able to share her story with a whole nother generation of young people, connecting generations, see the collaborative efforts. It was something she never thought about, but it's something she does all the time. She shows up and she educates young people, first grade, young minds. She starts them on this journey, but it never crossed her mind to be able to put something in their hand that they could digest and that they can see. So through collective collaborative efforts, we've been able to birth her book, her children's book, for her to do just that. And the blessing is now the superintendent is saying that, yep, we're going to work together to make sure we get your books in every school in Bridgeport. That's an accomplishment that we can celebrate collectively, and not just me and her, everybody that's a part of her journey. So, with that, the power and collaboration. We don't have to do this alone. Let's bring our gifts together. Would you say, wow, that's an awesome idea? It really is. People's stories have so much power, but we limit ourselves because sometimes we just have to sit still and really open up. Who am I? What is my purpose? Go back and listen to Manifest. One of the episodes, we break it down. um what, I listen, I've done so many episodes. I think I'm over 400 videos on YouTube right now, which, yes, that's an accomplishment. You have no idea. Yes, I did celebrate my 6-month mark because I realized that sitting in a live morning brew that, oh my gosh, I'm already 6 months in, and all I decided to do was say, I'm going to be consistent in showing up every day for morning brew, even if it's just me. And then I look up, and yes, we're over 6 months later. That's huge for me. So I'm going to take that one. But definitely, in watching, go back and listen to some of the morning brews, because what you will find, there are so many tips that I do share. I'm looking down at my YouTube right now because trying to remember some of the videos that I talked about. But I know there were, I don't know if it was in the Ideas Need Air or if it was in the one that manifesting ideas. Anyway, go back and listen to some of the morning brews because there's some really valuable, rich information in there that can help you along your journey. But I did put 3 questions in there that I want you to look at when you're thinking about your ideas. And so it's really just to help you broaden and expand your thought process. But look at your story more than just words on the paper. Your story is bigger than that. It really is. And so, in that, just sharing with Councilwoman Mary McBride Lee, we just created another revenue stream for her. I mean, she had 75 books at her event, and she pretty much sold out of all of them. But at the end of the day, your story can help so many people. And out of that, you never know the community initiatives that can come from that also. So, with that, listen, let's go into a segment right now, right? Um, I like to give questions. Hold on, because I do like to give questions, but in the process of me doing this, I want to talk a little before we get into those questions. I want to talk about Morning Brew with Germaine. We have our different segments that we do. And as I said before, this is a platform, whereas it was birthed out of having a platform that I can pretty much allow authors that I work with, authors that I may connect with that's not a part of the HOV publishing imprint, to be able to have a platform to be able to share their stories, right? So on on Fridays, we do Authors Brew Friday. So we look to bring a new author in to share their stories, and we're so excited about it because people have incredible stories. I'm like mind blowing stories. And then on Wednesdays is mixed blend Wednesdays, and that's when we mix it all up. We bring experts in their field to be able to come in and be able to share their expertise. And I'm putting this out there right now because I've partnered up with someone that's going to become a frequent friend of Morning Brew with Germaine once a month. And ladies, yes, this is for you, but this is also for the men. So we partnered up with Coach Kathleen. Coach Kathleen she's in the medical profession. I believe she's an LPN. And she specializes in, guess what, ladies? Yep, menopause. And I know a lot of times we be trying to put answers and solutions in what is happening in our bodies. Our hormones are all over the place. And the beauty of it is I had the privilege of sitting on a platform with her. And so we're going to be bringing and partnering with wellness for a coach for women. Men, you can join into. You are not left out of this conversation, especially if you're in relationship with women. So with that, you definitely want to be able to be a part of knowing what is going on. And men, you go through your own form. So, but she's going to be chiming in with us, and she's going to be once a month with us and really breaking this thing down called menopause. So, ladies, you do not want to miss out on that. Menopause Unmasked. That's what we're calling it. And we're just going to start the conversation this Wednesday, and we're going to keep moving through it once a month. So, once again, collaboration. Collaboration is so key. Cannot do this alone. Don't want to do this alone. And so, with that being said, don't miss out. And you know what? Even if you do miss it, just go over to YouTube, join the Morning Brew with Germaine family, subscribe, get your notifications, and make sure you hit the like button because, this whole algorithm thing, it does work. People are telling me, they're calling me, telling me, Germaine, you're popping up everywhere. And you know what? It's only because the algorithm is picking up. And what's happening is the algorithm is picking up and I'm being consistent. That was a choice that I made to be consistent. So, all right, guys. So let me just I'm pulling together my questions, because we have a segment called our reflection questions. And so I didn't put them in front of me. So now I have to pull them up and get them. So bear with me one second. I hope everybody, let's look at some of these comments. Oh, yeah, I cannot miss that one. Yes, menopause is a real conversation. Real conversation. That, we are looking for answers. And answers to a lot of things like, why am I feeling like brain fog? I was telling Coach Kathleen that brain fog is a real thing. Sometimes I'm sitting like, okay, what's happening right now? What's happening right now? But even to a lot of our medical issues that doctors can't put a face to, a name to it, or whatever, a lot of things I was shockingly surprised is due to our hormones being out of control or menopause, going through the menopause phases, stages in life. And so, but yeah, I ain't gonna give it all away. But you gotta chime in on Mixed Blend Wednesdays this Wednesday. This Wednesday, she's gonna be here to talk about it. Okay. And if you have any questions, my suggestion is start sending your questions in to me. You can go to, let me pull this up really quickly, how you can stay connected, but Morning Brew with Germaine at gmail.com on YouTube. Also, this is the website, Morning Brew with Germaine, for you to stay connected for what's going on. And in the process, like I said, make sure you go in and you subscribe to YouTube at Morning Brew with Germaine. And guys, right now I'm just trying to pull these questions. That's why it's taking me a few minutes to and I'm just kind of talking through some things, but give me a second. Um hold on one second, because I forgot to put them with my notes. Okay, and on another note, once again, as hard as it is for me, I'm getting comfortable doing it because I realize community is everything. And I want to thank everybody for also being sharing on the community through our Buy Me a Coffee, supporting Morning Brew with Germaine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. There's so much that we're going to be able to do to help others. If it's from their publishing and writing, and they may not have the financial means, that I always look every year who I can sew into to bring their story to life, that may not have the financial needs, but they have a phenomenal story. So, I'm really big in giving back. And sometimes it could be in silence. Everybody don't need to know. But just being able to help one another out. So, and that's what your supporting Morning Brew helps us to move forward, to go on with bringing inspiration platforms, to bring on guests, to really, there's some cool things that's coming up that authors can really benefit from. So I'm so looking forward to that as well. But let me just put this up here for you, Morning Brew. If you do decide that, you know what, hey, I have $1 here or there that I want to just sew back into Morning Brew, then you know what, you can. And you could do it just by scanning the QR code that's on the screen. And for as little as $1, you can buy me a coffee. And I say that's what it's called, buymeacoffee.com/ Morning Brew with Germaine. And so you can buy me a coffee. That's what I say. And buying me a coffee means that others share in it. So, all right, guys, with that, let me pull this down so we can now go into our reflection questions. All right, so here we go with our reflection questions. This is something I always say, can take part in. I like to leave 2 questions that you can just take with you along your journey, and maybe you'll start watering those. Maybe you'll answer them on the spot. Maybe they'll just, until you're ready. But here are the questions. What mindset shifts do I need to make to see others as partners instead of threats? Let me read that one again. What mindset shifts do I need to make or to see others as partners instead of threats? Now, I hope you guys, well, listen, bottom line, we're human. We're human. And sometimes, you know what? We do see people as a threat. If you're going for another job and you're going up against somebody, then you know what? You may see that person as a threat. Or if you are, I don't know, just in your day to day, maybe you have some insecurities that you're carrying and you're just not sure about it. So somebody can come along and you think they got it all together, and it feels like it's a threat to you, you know? But I want you to think about this question. What mindset shift, that's the key. Mindset shift do I need to make to see others as a partner instead of a threat? Because they could be the very thing you need to help move you forward as a partner. All right, so question number 2. Who can I reach out to this week to create something greater together? So that's the next question. Who can I reach out to this week to create something greater together? Those are your 2 reflection questions. Take those along the journey with you. And hey, answer them when you feel or see fit to answer those questions. Okay. All right, guys. So now we're wrapping it up. So we're going into the final sip. And in the final sip, I just want to leave some encouraging words for you. Collaboration isn't about losing, it's about multiplying. So just because you're joining with someone, don't feel like you're losing yourself as you're connecting with others. Think about how much more you can multiply, right? How much more you can multiply just having your presence be a part of the whole. Also, I want you to, in our actions, I want you to sip slow. So choose unity over ego. I want you to stir intentionally. Teamwork over turf wars. But I want you to share boldly, purpose over pride. Okay. Yes, that pride thing can shut us down, get us in trouble, or have us lose out altogether. So always put purpose over pride. Sometimes it's a humbling experience to humble ourselves to come into somebody or come connect with somebody that's only going to help us multiply in the long run. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for chiming into Morning Brew with Germaine. Thank you for giving me the space to get my notes together. And then hey, I look forward to you coming by, stopping by for coffee or beverages anytime in conversation. And thank you for those that are new, that are watching from afar, that are chiming in. Thank you for letting me know that you're here with me. And welcome back. I want to see you come back. I love to engage with you again in this coffee break. So thanks a lot for chiming into Morning Brew with your girl Germaine, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget Wednesday. Wednesday. Okay. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye bye now.